Your hair looks clean, you washed it, you rinsed it, you styled it. Right now, today, active federal class action lawsuits are moving through United States courts naming the exact brands sitting in your shower. Not historical cases, not settled archives, live proceedings filed this year against products you may have used this morning. And while you were standing at that sink, shampoo running over your scalp, the most chemically permeable surface on your body. 7 of the most purchased shampoo brands in America were depositing formaldehyde releasers, EPA-classified carcinogens, and hormone-disrupting compounds directly through it. Every wash, every morning, every person in your household, the companies knew. The labels were written to make sure you never did. Today, using 2026 EWG Skin Deep data, IARC carcinogen classifications, the EPA's November 2024 risk evaluation, California's DTSC 2026 shampoo rulemaking, and federal court filings active as of this month, I am showing you exactly which 7 shampoo brands have a documented chemical safety problem, and which 5 have nothing to hide. At the end of this video, 2 tests you can run tonight. 2 minutes, no equipment. One involves putting your shampoo into a glass of plain water and watching what happens. What you see will change how you shop for shampoo forever. Stay until the end. Brand number 1 is not one brand. It is 2. Same corporation, same ingredient, 1 recall, one $10.2 million federal settlement. And then the same preservative moved into a new bottle under a new name. Sold to new customers who had never heard of any of it. Active litigation. Federal court. This month, that story is coming. Brand 7 is now. Brand number 7, Garnier Fructis, owned by L'Oreal. The label on this bottle is doing a very specific job, and that job has nothing to do with what is actually in the formula. Fructis means fruit in Latin. Every bottle in the line is built around something that grew in the ground. Avocado, banana, aloe, coconut. The visual language is deliberate. The font, the color, the ingredient callouts on the front. All of it is engineered to create one impression: natural. What came out of the manufacturing process to make this shampoo is the opposite of that impression. The primary cleaning agent is sodium lauryl sulfate. The ETH in the middle is a chemistry flag, not a design choice. It means this ingredient was produced through a process called ethoxylation, and ethoxylation generates an unavoidable toxic byproduct called 1,4-dioxane. Not added intentionally. A chemical consequence of how the product is manufactured. In November 2024, the EPA formally declared that 1,4-dioxane presents an unreasonable risk to human health. California has opened formal regulatory action against it. It appears on no shampoo label. It never has been required to. Multiple Garnier formulas also contain a preservative the European Union restricted from all rinse-off personal care products in 2016. After peer-reviewed research linked it to skin sensitization and neurotoxic effects at low concentrations, 2 separate regulatory bodies in 2 different markets have already moved against ingredients in this bottle. The avocado on the front has not changed. Bottom line, Garnier sold you fruit. The factory generated a carcinogen. The EU restricted a second ingredient from this formula years ago. The label was not designed to show you the distance between those 2 facts. Brand number 6 has spent 6 decades building the most emotionally powerful word in personal care directly into its identity, and what is currently inside its liquid shampoo formula, a preservative that releases formaldehyde every time water contacts it, has been documented as harmful by the same parent company that manufactures it. That documentation is not a secret. It is in the federal court record. It has been there since 2012. Brand number 6, Dove, owned by Unilever. The word care is doing an enormous amount of work on this bottle. Dove Care, daily moisture, sensitive skin, deep nourishment. Every product line Dove has ever launched is built around a single emotional architecture. That this brand treats your skin with something closer to kindness than chemistry. Gentle enough for a baby, safe for sensitive skin. Trusted across generations because it has simply always felt like the softest, most considerate choice on the shelf. Here is what Unilever's own litigation record says about that promise. Multiple Dove liquid shampoo lines, including Dove Nutritive Solutions and Dove Dryness Relief, contain DMDM hydantoin, a preservative that releases formaldehyde when it contacts water. Every time you lather up, the water activates the release. Formaldehyde contacts your scalp and absorbs through it. Formaldehyde is an IARC Group 1 carcinogen, not suspected, not probable, confirmed cause of cancer in humans. The same classification as asbestos. In a bottle with the word care on the front. This is the same preservative Unilever recalled from a different product line in 2012 after documenting its connection to hair loss and scalp irritation in consumers. The mechanism is identical. The harm is documented. The parent company is the same. The ingredient is still in this bottle. The primary surfactant is sodium lauryl sulfate, the SLES ethoxylation pathway generating the EPA-classified 1,4-dioxane byproduct present across this entire list. The fragrance formula sits behind the FDA trade secret exemption, meaning whatever chemicals are generating that scent, including any phthalate content, are legally shielded from any label disclosure. Dove spent 60 years making the word care synonymous with gentleness and safety. The ingredient releasing formaldehyde in your shower was in the liquid formula the entire time. Bottom line, the most trusted word in personal care on a bottle containing a formaldehyde-releasing preservative documented as harmful by Dove's own parent company before most of today's customers were adults. Care was the marketing decision. DMDM hydantoin in the liquid formula was the chemistry decision. Unilever made sure those two decisions never appeared on the same label together. Brand number 5 does not rely on emotional language. It reaches for something with far more weight than emotion, the authority of medicine. Doctor recommended for over 60 years. Here is what that phrase legally means, what it requires, and what it was structurally designed not to cover. Brand number 5, Head and Shoulders, owned by Procter & Gamble. Doctor recommended is not a standard. It is a sentence a marketing team is permitted to print. 6 decades of clinical shelf positioning built on a phrase that carries the credibility of a prescription without any of its regulatory requirements. A company surveys or compensates physicians who agree the product can be used for its stated purpose. There is no independent ingredient safety review attached to that endorsement. No government threshold the formula must clear. No dermatologist is required to evaluate what the manufacturing process generates as a byproduct before lending their association to the brand. Now here is what the actual regulatory bodies, the ones with legal authority, are currently saying about what is in this bottle. The EPA declared 1,4-dioxane an unreasonable risk to human health in November 2024. California's DTSC opened formal rulemaking in 2026, specifically targeting the surfactant pathway that generates it in personal care products. That pathway runs directly through Head & Shoulders' primary cleaning agent, sodium lauryl sulfate. And the active antifungal that actually treats dandruff, zinc pyrithione, is currently under regulatory review in the EU following a 2021 restriction over environmental and safety concerns. The ingredient that makes this product work for its stated purpose is being scrutinized in markets with more rigorous standards. The fragrance is undisclosed. The phthalate content is unquantified on any label. The doctor's endorsement covered dandruff efficacy. Nobody asked the doctor about the manufacturing chemistry or what the EU was reviewing. Bottom line, a medical-sounding phrase with no regulatory teeth behind it, an EPA-flagged carcinogen pathway in the primary surfactant, an active ingredient under EU restriction. Doctor recommended was the authority story. The California regulatory filing is the chemistry story. They are not the same document. Brand number 4 partnered with one of the most respected scientific institutions on Earth to certify its ingredients. It is a genuine partnership with a genuinely prestigious institution. Understanding exactly what that certification was scoped to cover and what it was structurally designed to leave out is the key to understanding how this brand works. Brand number 4, Herbal Essences, owned by Procter & Gamble. This is not a fraudulent partnership. That is precisely what makes it so effective. Procter & Gamble partnered with the Royal Botanic Gardens at Kew, London, one of the most authoritative botanical research institutions on the planet, to independently verify that the plant ingredients in Herbal Essences formulas are genuinely derived from traceable botanical sources. When the label says rosemary, Kew confirmed it. When it says aloe, Kew traced the source. That verification is legitimate. The science behind it is real. The scope of the certification is the problem. Kew Gardens certifies plant origin. It does not evaluate synthetic preservative chemistry. It has no mandate to screen for 1,4-dioxane manufacturing byproducts. It was never asked to assess formaldehyde-releasing compounds or test for carcinogen contamination pathways. The partnership was structured around the one component of the formula that was never the safety concern to begin with. Multiple Herbal Essences formulas contain DMDM hydantoin, sitting alongside the Kew-certified botanicals. The rosemary is authentic. The formaldehyde donor is also present. The Kew Gardens logo appears on both. The primary surfactant is sodium lauryl sulfate, the same 1,4-dioxane pathway. The fragrance chemistry is undisclosed behind the same trade secret exemption used across every brand on this list. Procter & Gamble built a premium naturals identity around a certification scoped precisely to miss the questions that would have disqualified the product. Bottom line, a world-class institution certified the herbs. The formaldehyde donor sitting in the same bottle was never on the evaluation form. The certification is genuine. The safety story it implied was not. Brand number 3 is the most purchased shampoo in the United States, not one of the most purchased, the most. And the scale at which this formula operates matters specifically because of what one of its primary ingredients does with repeated daily use. This is not a single exposure story, it is an accumulation story. Brand number 3, Pantene. Owned by Procter & Gamble, scale changes the exposure math. Pantene's primary differentiator, the thing that built the brand, is dimethicone, a synthetic silicone polymer deposited onto the hair shaft with every single wash to create the visual appearance of smooth, healthy, luminous hair. This is not conditioning in any biological sense. Silicone does not interact with hair fiber, it coats it, a synthetic encasement that reflects light and feels smooth to the touch. On the scalp, this silicone accumulates with repeated daily use, progressively building a layer over time that traps residual surfactant compounds against the scalp barrier between washes. The primary surfactant is sodium lauryl sulfate. The 1,4-dioxane contamination pathway is present, and the silicone accumulation is compounding that exposure, holding SLES manufacturing residues against the most permeable surface on your body longer than a formula without it would. Add an undisclosed synthetic fragrance with no phthalate disclosure, and you have a product engineered to deliver visible results while accumulating a chemical profile on your scalp that no label was ever designed to describe. Pro-V, printed on every bottle in a font engineered to suggest pharmaceutical authority, is a registered Procter & Gamble trademark. A proprietary vitamin blend the company owns, not a government standard, not an independent certification, a brand name with the visual weight of a clinical designation. At the scale Pantene operates, this is playing out in 90 million American households simultaneously, daily, every wash. Bottom line, the most consumed shampoo formula in the country. Silicone accumulation trapping SLES byproducts against the scalp over time, an EPA-flagged carcinogen pathway, a trademarked claim positioned as clinical authority. The label was designed to generate trust. The ingredient list was the document never meant to sit next to it. Brand number 2 is on this list for a reason that separates it from every other brand you have heard today. The others have ingredient problems. This brand has a decision problem. They had the peer-reviewed science. They had the regulatory signals. They had a $10 million industry precedent from a company in the same market. They reviewed it all, and they kept the ingredient. What followed is documented in federal court. Brand number 2, OGX, owned by Johnson & Johnson Consumer Incorporated. This is not a story about a company that did not know. This is a story about what a company chose to do with what it knew. Coconut milk, argan oil of Morocco, Brazilian keratin, biotin, and collagen. OGX built a premium botanical identity at drugstore prices, targeted precisely at the consumer who was already paying attention, already comparing labels, already trying to make the more considered choice. Johnson & Johnson Consumer Incorporated is a corporation with the scientific infrastructure, the regulatory monitoring systems, and the legal resources to track every development in the ingredient safety landscape of the category they operate in. In 2021, a federal class action, Whipple versus Johnson & Johnson Consumer Incorporated, Northern District of Illinois, alleged that OGX products contained DMDM hydantoin, that it released formaldehyde upon contact with water during normal use, that Johnson & Johnson had known about the risk, and that they had deliberately failed to warn consumers. Documented hair loss, scalp irritation, from the bottle specifically marketed to the parent who was already being careful. Before that lawsuit was filed, every relevant data point was available to Johnson & Johnson. The peer-reviewed science on DMDM hydantoin's formaldehyde-releasing mechanism. The Unilever 2012 recall, public record. The class action settlement. Growing EU restrictions on formaldehyde-releasing preservatives. Their own internal safety teams reviewed a category where the precedent was already established. The coconut milk stayed on the front. The DMDM hydantoin stayed in the formula. That was not an oversight. It was a decision made by people who had read everything. Bottom line, premium botanical marketing. Active federal litigation alleging failure to warn. Johnson & Johnson had the science, the precedent, and every signal the regulatory environment could send. The choice to keep the ingredient was not ignorance. The federal docket is where that choice now lives. Brand number 1 is not one brand, it is 2. Same corporation, same preservative. One recall, one $10.2 million settlement. And then a documented decision to put the identical chemistry into a new bottle under a new name. Sold to a new customer who had never heard of any of what came before. What follows is not a product safety story. It is a 14-year corporate behavior record, still being argued in federal court. This month, brand number 1, TRESemmé and Suave, both owned by Unilever. The story starts in 2012. Unilever recalled Suave Professional's keratin infusion after a documented wave of consumer reports, hair breakage, scalp burns, significant hair loss, traced directly to DMDM hydantoin. The class action that followed alleged something that belongs in the first paragraph of any honest account of this brand. Unilever had marketed this product as formaldehyde-free, while it contained a preservative whose formaldehyde-releasing mechanism was published in peer-reviewed scientific literature at the time of sale. Formaldehyde-free on the label, formaldehyde-releasing chemistry in the formula. The settlement totaled $10.2 million, finalized 2014. Upheld on appeal, 2016. Federal court, public record. Now here is where the incident becomes a pattern. After that settlement, Unilever did not remove DMDM hydantoin from its hair care portfolio. They kept it in TRESemmé. Different brand name, different price point, different consumer positioning, salon quality instead of affordable family value, different label, different name, different shelf placement, different customer demographic, same parent company, same preservative, same documented mechanism, same documented harm. In 2020, a federal class action, Castillo versus Unilever, United States, Northern District of Illinois, alleged exactly that. TRESemmé keratin smooth products contained DMDM hydantoin. Formaldehyde released upon contact with water, Unilever had known since at least 2012. The lawsuit cited the Suave settlement not as historical context, as evidence of prior knowledge, as proof that when TRESemmé customers were experiencing the same harm from the same compound, the company already had a $10 million federal settlement on file confirming what that compound did. Unilever reformulated TRESemmé Keratin Smooth in 2022, after the lawsuit was filed, not before. The consolidated class action remained active through April 2025. Maddox versus Canopco filed against Unilever's own subsidiary. Carries active filings dated May 2026, this month not closed current. 2 brand names, 1 corporation, 1 preservative, 1 recall, 1 $10 million settlement, the same ingredient in a new bottle, active federal proceedings as of this month. The front label on TRESemmé said salon quality. The front label on Suave said affordable family care. The federal docket said the same thing about both of them. And that document is still open. Bottom line, 2012 recall. 2014 settlement, $10.2 million. For a product marketed as formaldehyde-free that chemically released formaldehyde. Same company, same preservative, new bottle, new customer, active federal litigation dated this month. Salon quality and affordable family value were the 2 front label stories. The federal court record is the one document both labels were written to make sure you never thought to find. 5 brands chose a completely different model. No formaldehyde releasers, no SLES-based carcinogen pathway, no fragrance chemistry hiding behind a trade secret exemption. Here are the 5 with nothing to hide. Acure. EWG verified, the highest independent personal care safety rating in the consumer ingredient database. No sulfates, no parabens, no formaldehyde releasers, no synthetic fragrance. The surfactant system is cocoa glucoside and sodium cocoyl isethionate. Coconut-derived, no ethoxylation step, no 1,4-dioxane pathway. The cleaning agents are not generating a carcinogen byproduct. That distinction is on the label because there is nothing to hide from it. Available at Target, Whole Foods, and online. Puracy Natural Shampoo. Plant-derived. EWG rated low hazard. No SLES. No DMDM hydantoin. No synthetic fragrance exemption. Full ingredient disclosure, no trade secret loophole. Every ingredient on the label means exactly what it says. There is no hidden chemistry behind any single word on this bottle. Available online and at select retailers. Briogeo Be Gentle, Be Kind. 6 free formula. No sulfates, no silicones, no phthalates, no parabens, no formaldehyde donors, no artificial dyes. No SLES means no 1,4-dioxane pathway. No silicone means your scalp is not accumulating a synthetic polymer layer between washes. No phthalates means the fragrance disclosure is real. Available at Sephora, Ulta, and online. Avalon Organics, EWG verified. Botanical surfactant system, no SLS, no SLES, no DMDM hydantoin, no synthetic fragrance, has maintained EWG verified status through independent formulation reviews and periodic retesting, not verified once and left unchanged, monitored, available at Whole Foods, Sprouts, and online. Shea Moisture, specifically the 100% virgin coconut oil line. That distinction matters every single time you pick up a Shea Moisture product. Not every Shea Moisture formula shares the same formulation. The 100% virgin coconut oil collection is EWG rated low hazard, no DMDM hydantoin, no formaldehyde releasers, no SLES. The line name is printed on the front of the bottle. Read it before you reach for it. Available at Target, Walmart, Walgreens, and Whole Foods. 2 tests. Tonight, 2 minutes. Test 1. The foam test. Add half a teaspoon of your shampoo to a glass of plain cold water. Stir once. Watch what happens. Dense white foam that immediately blankets the surface and holds. You are looking at an SLS or SLES-based formula. That ethoxylation manufacturing process generated 1,4-dioxane as a chemical byproduct. Independent lab testing has confirmed it migrates into the finished product. It is not visible in the foam. It was in the bottle before you opened it. Soft, smaller bubbles that form slowly and dissipate quickly. That is a coconut-derived or amino acid surfactant system without the SLES contamination profile. That is what clean lather looks like in a glass of water. Test 2, the 5-term label scan. Pick up your shampoo right now. Look for any of these words: DMDM hydantoin, sodium laureth sulfate. The word fragrance or parfum, without the words phthalate-free anywhere on the label. Methylisothiazolinone, any PEG compound followed by a number. Find 2 out of 5, and you now know something your label was specifically designed to prevent you from discovering. Then go to ewg.org/skindeep and search your exact product name. Free. 60 seconds. Scores 1 through 3. Low concern. 4 through 6. Moderate. 7 through 10. Put it down. The brands on the avoid list sit in that upper range. The brands on the safe list do not. 7 shampoo brands. 1 formaldehyde-releasing preservative documented in federal courts since 2012. An EPA-classified carcinogen generated as a manufacturing byproduct, absorbing through your scalp every morning, absent from every label, never required to be disclosed. Active federal litigation with filings dated this month. 5 brands that chose not to put any of it in the bottle. The label is right there. It is just written to protect the brand, not the person holding it. If this changed which bottle you are reaching for tomorrow morning, share it with one person still using one of the 7. If there is a bottle of TRESemmé, Suave, or Dove in someone's shower right now and they have not seen this, send it tonight. Comment below which brand you checked and what you are switching to. And if you have not seen my investigation into dish soap, the residue left on your family's plates after every single wash, that one goes just as deep. Stay clean. See you next time on Grocery Exposed, so you know what's really in your cart.